This is a special report.
We have breaking news 2 days before the Eagles go to Brazil. Well, I guess the Eagles are going to Brazil now, which is why we have breaking news. But in 2 days, the Eagles open the season in Brazil against the Packers. And we have breaking news that Devin White is not traveling with the team to Brazil due to an ankle injury. Jeff McClain tweeted out this morning at 9:05, Eagles linebacker Devin White will not travel with the team and will miss Friday night's game due to an ankle injury. He then quote tweeted that at 9:18 and said, Nakobe Dean was slated to be the Eagles starting Mike linebacker before the teams listed Devin White on the injury report on Tuesday. NFL sources said Dean beat White out in training camp. It's unclear what role the Eagles had for White, if any, on defense. Nevertheless, he was not on the plane when the team departed for Brazil this morning. And then Albert Breer quote tweeted that at 9:24 and said there were murmurs that the Eagles could trade Devin White before the cutdown. Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean both were really good in camp. So fair or not, White missing the opener won't help his case for a big role on the defense. And so you guys that listen to the channel, you know we've got one person on this feed that is our linebacker guru. He brings up linebackers anytime he has a chance. It's Ryan Reese. You can follow him on Twitter at Philly Sports PSA. We're here for a breaking news update with Ryan. Ryan, what are your initial thoughts? Hearing that news, does that jive with what you saw? What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think we all just kind of assumed that Devin White was going to be the top dog in the linebacker room. But all this information that just came out, and, we didn't see him really much in preseason. We haven't really heard a ton in training camp. So this doesn't necessarily is as shocking maybe for some people as it is to me. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's great news for Nakobe Dean, obviously. But we signed signed White to a decent deal. Coming off of kind of a rough go in Tampa there at the end of his career, or at Tampa, and this doesn't help overall the linebacking room there, as it already is pretty thin and not filled with a lot of Pro Bowlers. So not really sure what to make of it at the end there.
Yeah, I think that when the Eagles signed Devin White, I was not the biggest proponent of that move.
Right, same.
People say, he was an all-pro, and it was based on sacks. And we know that Fangio likes to blitz his linebackers, and we saw that in the preseason. And White's certainly effective as a blitzer. Nakobe Dean is effective as a blitzer as well. So is Trotter. So is Zach Bond. So, I mean, that's a common skill set. Right. I think his coverage has not been good, but he has the athleticism to recover quickly, I think. And I think coverage is a question mark for all of the linebackers, except maybe Trotter Jr., who's a real cerebral player. But one thing that White has been really poor at over the course of his career is his run defense. And so swapping out White for Dean immediately, I think, makes the Eagles' run defense better. We'll just have to see what the coverage is going to look like behind that. So like you said, it's a big opportunity for Devin White, or it's not Devin White. It's a big opportunity for Nakobe Dean. Too many D's here. Right. And it's a big opportunity for the Eagles too. You think about that, they draft Nakobe Dean, who they have control of his rights for another 2 seasons. You draft Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who you have control of for 4 seasons, relatively cheap. Devin White's on a 1-year deal. Zach Bond is on a 1-year deal. In an ideal world, Nakobe Dean and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. would be your long-term starters. I wasn't impressed with Zach Bond in the first preseason game. I thought he looked a lot better in the second preseason game. But I personally think Nakobe Dean is the best linebacker on the team right now. But it does surprise me to hear that the Eagles viewed him that way. And I would say there's some revisionist things going on there, but this isn't a season-ending injury. It's not like we signed the guy for 1 year and his season's already over, so we're trying to pump up Nakobe Dean. It's like, hey, he's going to miss 1 game, and you've got sources saying, well, actually, he wasn't going to start anyways. I viewed him as better, but if you look at the snap counts, Dean played almost twice as many snaps in the preseason, so it surprises me that the Eagles thought of it that way too. Maybe they're just trying to get him reps because he hasn't had a lot of reps the last 2 years, but What do you expect to see from Dean and it's really his first starting action of his career.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is a big opportunity for Nakobe Dean. He's, fought through injuries and just, kind of poor play as a young player. Now, again, he's taking this role. He's beat out, Devin White, which, again, Devin White, for all intents and purposes, was a very good player in Tampa. It just, again, just kind of fell off there. And he was looking to kind of revive his career here in Philly. And Nakobe's just fighting to be that. And now he doesn't have Devin White to kind of, steal some snaps. And, him and Bond are going to be the guys. And, Trot is going to get now. I thought, Trot wasn't really going to play much. But now he certainly will get some snaps, and yeah, Dean has everything he's wanted. He has it all. He has it all right in front of him. He just needs to go out and have himself a solid game. If he plays his lights, if he plays lights out, that position is his for the future. And that's what I am hoping that Dean goes in there and is stout in the run game. When asked to blitz is effective and gets to the quarterback. And, again, coverage is kind of where the question marks are. And if he can be okay in coverage, that position is absolutely his for the future.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how the Eagles handle base personnel in this game, because now you've gone from your third linebacker apparently being Devin White to being Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who was a rookie day 3 draft pick. And I would assume you will see the Eagles in some more 5-down fronts instead of putting a third linebacker on the field, perhaps against 12 personnel, which if I'm the Packers, I'm going to smash 12 personnel because you have Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft already. And now you're exploiting a perceived weakness for the Eagles a bit. So I'll be interested to see. It'll tell us a lot if Trotter plays significant snaps in those moments where the Eagles think of him. But it does definitely make your linebacker depth shallow now, because if Nakobe Dean's been injured a lot in his career, if he were to go down during the game, or Zach Bond, and now all of a sudden you've got Trotter out there as well, and all of a sudden Ben Van Sumeren, who really athletic, but the instincts aren't there at times, would have to get into the game. So you never want to stack injuries at a position. You certainly don't want to stack it at one of your weaker positions. So hopefully we can stay healthy beyond that. Let's go to a couple of comments here we've got coming in. Scratch on Twitter asks how long Devin White is out for. We don't have any information on that yet. All we have is that it was an ankle injury and he's not traveling to Brazil. So I would assume there will be more information out later today about the severity of the injury, or the Eagles will just do what they always do and say week to week, which could mean he'll be back next week. It could mean he's going to go on IR tomorrow. So we'll wait and see on that. Yeah. Jay on Facebook says expects the Packers to go hard in the running game and going at the linebackers in the passing game. Yeah, the Eagles had a massive weakness over the middle of the field. The Packers have some good tight ends. But as I said earlier, I do think the Eagles' run defense gets better with Nakobe Dean on the field. He also asks, do you guys think Fangio run blitzes any on early downs? Thoughts on that, Ryan?
Yeah, listen, I think Fangio is the type of D coordinator that generally sticks to his plan. Doesn't really, I feel like, depending on who's in there, it tweaks it. Now, I feel like his plan is the way he goes about his business. So I don't see him necessarily doing that a whole lot. But he's definitely going to bring some pressure. I expect the Packers, O coordinator to kind of, again, as you said, why wouldn't he run 12 personnel with two very decent tight ends against our linebackers? I could definitely see Trotter, getting more time if that's what they end up doing because of his skill set to be able to cover some linebackers. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting chess match for sure to kind of see, how the Packers go about their business and how we, counter that. So, but yeah, I would say Fangio is going to do what Fangio is going to do, regardless of whether it's Dean, whether it's White. It doesn't really matter.
All right. Well, there you guys have it. Our initial reactions to the news that just broke. We'll keep monitoring it. Again, the rumors said they were looking to trade Devin White. I
Crazy.
don't I don't know that it would be really strange to sign a guy in free agency and trade him before he played a snap. I can't imagine there being a lot of a market for Devin White unless other teams start to have injuries, but he did sign a 1-year deal worth $4 million with incentives up to $7 million, if I recall correctly, and $3.5 million was guaranteed. So a new team would not be on the hook for much if the Eagles continue to pursue a trade. So I guess if that happens down the road, we'll be back and let you know. But Ryan, any final thoughts on the linebacker situation before we get out of here?
Yeah, that part of it I feel like is what's a little confusing, considering the depth that the Eagles have at linebacker. They don't really, have the luxury, I would think, to trade away a guy that can be, important to their linebacking core. And from what I read last, that he was a limited participant in the last practice before heading to Brazil. So I would assume the injury isn't severe enough to miss, or go on IR. I would assume, considering the break in between Friday's game and the Monday night game against Atlanta here in Philadelphia, that that White would be able to get himself onto the field. So I expect him to be there for the home opener at Atlanta.
Yeah, he was listed as a limited participant
Right.
on the report before this one. So I guess he was downgraded along the way. Isaiah Rodgers was also listed as a limited participant on the most recent injury report, but fully expect him to play. So there you guys have it. Breaking news reaction. Devin White is out for the season opener. Our thoughts about it. If anything else develops, we will be back to break it down for you guys. Otherwise, you can catch us next live. Well, not Ryan, but you can catch me live on the post-game show Friday night for Brazil. Keep it tuned here to the Eagles Pin Pull Network for all your Eagles news needs. We'll catch you guys next time.